We are looking at more trig derivatives today. We should be able to do trig derivatives for all 6 major trig functions. We already know sine and cosine up here as cosine for sine and negative sine as the derivative for cosine. Tangent, we got in the last lesson that if we use the quotient rule, your answer is secant squared of x is the derivative of tangent. Now, to find the other 3, it's a little bit more complicated. We could do a whole bunch of rules to actually figure it out. However, let's keep it simple. The derivative of tangent is secant squared. The derivative of cotangent then becomes something cosecant squared. And the trick is, any of the co-functions always become negative. So cosine, cotangent, and cosecant all are a negative answer. Okay, so I think from tangent to cotangent is a pretty easy transition. The last one is secant. And the way I remember this is that secant and tangent are already linked together. And the fact that tangent's derivative is secant squared. The derivative of secant of x is itself times tangent of x. Again, tan and secant are linked together. And if you know secant, then you can get up to cosecant. Instead of secant and tangent, it's cosecant with cotangent. There's your trig derivatives, each and every one of them. So with that in mind, let's see if we can do some problems with it. So we're going to find the derivatives of all of these. And it's a little bit of just memorization, but we got to go with it. So number 1, when we're finding this derivative, so we have f prime of x is going to equal the derivative of secant of x. We just said was secant of x times tangent of x. Plus 5 cotangent is going to become 5 something else. Cotangent becomes cosecant squared of x, but it was negative cosecant squared. So I should make sure this is a, make sure it's not so big of an eraser. How about that? Instead of plus 5x, 5 cosecant squared of x, it's negative 5 cosecant squared of x. Next part, negative 1/2 cosine will become sine of x, but again, a cotangent, cosine, the sign flips. And then this last one is just a real basic one we've had before. Bring the 6 in front, and this should become 8x to the 5th power. So this all combined together to make your derivatives. Here's one, derivative of 2. That's nothing, that's easy. The derivative of 6 tangent. Tangent's derivative is secant squared of x, so keep the 6 in front of it. Now we have minus, we have a product rule here. So we're going to have 2 things going on. So we're going to have the first times the derivative of the second. The derivative of cosecant is negative cosecant, cotangent. There we go. Negative cosecant, cotangent. Notice the minus became a plus because of the minus and negative. Okay, so that's 1d2 plus the second times the derivative of the first. And make sure the first was negative e to the x. So times derivative of that would be negative e to the x. So this plus sign again will become a negative. There you go. We'll keep it just like that. Keep it simple. Third one here. Now we have a quotient rule. So we're going to go low times d high, derivative of secant. We said is secant tangent. So that's low d high minus high d low. Should be 3x squared. All over low squared, and we'll keep the x cubed plus 2 squared just like that. Won't even try to expand it. That'll be your answer. They would probably rewrite this part here at the end and put the 3x squared in front of secant x. To make it 3x squared secant x. That's the last one. Now, number 4, final problem on here for these examples. If f of x equals this function, they want to find f prime of pi over 4. So, the way we do this is first find the derivative. It's another product rule. So the first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. Now we just have to plug in pi over 4 everywhere. So we have e to the pi over 4. Well, I don't know what that is. It's just some number. Keep it like that for now. Secant of pi over 4. Well, we should know from our chart that cosine of pi over 4 is equal to root 2 over 2. So that means that when you flip that, root 2 over 2, you would get just root 2. Now, tangent of pi over 4, we should know, tangent of pi over 4 is equal to 1 because cosine and cosine and sine are both the same. So this is what we got right now so far. Plus, secant of pi over 4, we just did that again, is just root 2 times e to the pi over 4. So what we have here is a root 2 e to the pi over 4 plus another root 2 e to the pi over 4. So the way they would simplify that, you can't do anything really with pi over 4, e to the pi over 4. So we have 2 square roots of 2 e pi over 4. So it looks ugly, but it ends up not being too bad as long as you know your trig derivatives and as long as you know the basics from the unit circle. Don't forget them.